You know
TMZ wanted me to do an interview and talk shit about him before his trial. And
so let's talk about that real quick. So he wants to do an interview?
Right. So basically what happened was, okay, after this all happened with Aaron threatening the CO, I had very little time left in that jail before I could bail out. So I ate half of it. I put the Bumblebee in. I stopped flipping out on Matthew Bowen, the CO. I said, dude, there's a freaking Bumblebee in my food. Like, are you kidding me right now? He's like, hold on, buddy. Let me get you a new tray.
What was the food?
It was burritos. It was like the best meal they had. You know what I mean? So we get that. He gives it to me. Now, Aaron, instead of giving him the other tray, the CO said, Mr. Hernandez, let me finish passing out lunch and then I'll give you this extra tray. So Aaron's like, all right, man, cool. Because it was the same CO so many days in a row behind the glass that we didn't notice, he caught on to us.
Yeah.
Man, he went up to this biggest sex offender cell in the hole and said, Aaron, look at this. So Aaron's looking out the food slot. He's handing him Aaron's food.
Highly recommend. We want to keep the relationships between family, that bond as strong as we can, because it can only be a benefit when you are released back into society.
Welcome back to the W Number, bro. I got my good friend here. He's got a great story. It's actually an incredible story, one that not a lot of people know about, and it's actually something that's not been talked about. So it has to do with Aaron Hernandez. You guys are gonna really, really enjoy this story, and anybody that enjoys that Aaron Hernandez story, this is one that is gonna blow your mind. So introduce yourself, bro.
Well, my name's Stevie Shabs. I grew up in Fall River. I grew up on Dover Street. Shout out to everybody out there. Growing up in Fall River was tough, man. It's difficult out there. It's a rough city, and there's not many options you have. If you're in the poverty level, it's hard to get out of it. And you get stuck with the wrong group of friends, and you're stuck in that vicious cycle, in and out of jail, in and out of prisons, in and out of detoxes, man, over and over and over. And it's really difficult having no support out there, coming home from doing a bid and having nowhere to go, and immediately having to think about going to hustle to just have a roof over your head and food in your stomach at night. I wish somebody was there to help me through it, but unfortunately this is the cards I was dealt, and I ended up doing 13 years in jail altogether. But
let me stop you there. So where did you grow up? What street did you grow up?
Dover Street.
Dover Street. So you're a Dover boy.
You know it, yeah.
So did you grow up with Boo Boo?
Yeah, of course I did, yeah.
What about
little Tony, little Joey, everybody, Reggie, Richie Ferreira, everybody, man.
Man, those guys are all like heavy hitters in the state system. What was it like growing up with these guys?
Oh, it was amazing. I came into jail at 17 years old. I knew everybody, obviously, from my neighborhood. So immediately, I don't know the rules in there. I don't know nothing. They're schooling me. They're teaching me the ropes, Junior, do this. Junior, do that, You got to put in work sometimes. You have to, I'm the younger kid, and that's how it works in there. It was like a hierarchy. But you're always taken care of. I walk in, I don't have the jail clothes on. I don't have the bobos on. I got sneakers on my feet. I got a radio. I got a fan. I got food. I got anything I need. And that's just how it works. When you're a good dude, you don't have to be from Dover Street. You don't have to. If you're just a solid dude and you're from Fall River, everybody's gonna look out for you.
So what age were you when you first started getting in trouble?
Getting in trouble was 14 years old. I went to jail when I was 17, but 14 years old, I was kicked out of my house doing some crazy stuff.
Did you have like a pops and a mother and shit?
Oh yeah, I did. We didn't click very much because they don't understand addiction.
Right.
They have gambling addiction, but they don't understand drug addiction. My dad always thought, why can't you just quit? Why can't you just stop?
Right.
I wish I could, and I really do, and I couldn't. And
what kind of drugs were you using?
Everything under the sun, man. I was 14 years. I don't like kids getting bullied, right?
Right.
So for me, growing up in Fall River, I went to 3 different elementary schools, 4 different middle schools, and 2 different high schools. You know what I mean? Like, I never had a steady group of friends because I don't like kids getting bullied, so I would stick up for them. I would fight. I would get kicked out of school. My mom's going to now move me to another school, me and my brother, And it was difficult because now we never had a steady group of friends.
Right.
So around 8th grade, my parents were like, you know what? We can't keep you in Fall River. We got to move. So we moved to Swansea, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I did 8th grade out there at Case Junior High. And I'm like, damn, I got no friends. Like, what am I going to do? I'm in 8th grade. Like, the easiest way to fit in with these guys, just go smoke weed with these kids down the corner.
Right.
And that's what I did. They're all my age, 13, 14 at the time.
Where'd you say that was that you moved?
Swansea, Massachusetts. Yep. Ocean Grove.
That's kind of near Fall.
It's right next to it.
And you went from a city setting, that's kind of a,
big
country,
switch.
Right?
Big switch. Yeah.
So what was it? How did you fare there? Did you get more trouble being in the country?
I think I had less trouble, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like less trouble because it was more low key. Ocean Grove is a little section in Swansea, and it's kind of like the ghetto, I guess, of Swansea. But it was just like we got left alone down there when we were younger.
Right.
The problem was we're 13, 14 years old. We got an 18-year-old kid coming around that's already doing heroin, and he's getting us all wrapped up into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I'm terrified of needles. I can't look at a needle.
Really?
I literally had to turn my head and let this guy do this to me when I was 14 years old because I'm kicked out of the house. I'm staying with him at his mom's house on the couch. Like, I didn't know how to say no at the time,
right.
And I didn't know what I was getting into either,
That's so crazy because you were scared of the needle.
Scared, terrified, petrified, right?
Yeah, bro.
And then one day, I had $20 to my name. I get as little dope as I can to get off him, man. He puts it in the spoon. He puts the water in. He goes, kid, I'm not doing it.
Right.
What do you mean you're not doing it? I'm freaking sick. I just paid for that. You need to do this.
Right.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, buddy, I can't do it for you. You got to do it yourself now. It's time to grow up. I'm like, grow up? I'm fucking 14 years old.
Right.
Like, You're
from Fall River. We got a little backstory. There's so much to talk about with this story.
Right.
So, as the title says and the thumbnail says, we're going to get into this story.
Oh,
right?
So this is going to be great.
Let's talk about what happened for you to get locked up and end up in Dartmouth County first.
Okay. So when I first got locked up, I got caught. Obviously, I had a drug addiction, so shoplifting was my thing. I used to boost all the time, left and right.
Right.
It was crazy. And I got caught up with that. Caught up with possession. I think it was distribution. I had two open cases. So yes, I had to go in and be sentenced for about 3 months, but I also had another case I was fighting pre-trial. So I eventually did bail out and have to still fight the other case from the street. Aaron actually helped me bail out, but so I ended up in jail for the shoplifting and possession and everything. And of course, me being younger and having to crash out when, stuff happens on the block, you got to take out the trash, and unfortunately it was me half the time.
Let me take you back a little bit. When you go into Dartmouth County, do you know that Aaron is even in there?
I did know he was in there, yes, but I couldn't get to him because I go to population, and they wanted to keep him separate, so they had him in. There's 3 different holes in Dartmouth. There's a small one called ED. It's 4 cells on the bottom, 4 cells on the top. That's where they had him for his protection, even though he was trying to go to population the whole time.
I've been in that that box before.
Right. Yeah. It's small.
How do you know Aaron before you even get there? Like, do you know him?
No.
Okay.
I just know him as a Patriots player. I didn't expect to have a relationship with the dude afterwards. But it ended up, falling that way.
And so, did you go in there like as just a straight fan? Like, I want to go over there with.
I did at first, but it was because, me and my cellie got caught. There was a big race war going on, So we had an Allen wrench key.
Right.
That thing's worth $1 million in there. Yeah. Now we can get behind the light in my cell, get the big metal bars, and make samurai swords if we wanted to.
Right.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
We had 12 knives in my ceiling. Somebody told on us, so they got us cuffed up at the bottom of the stairs, and they're searching our cell. I'm like, they're never going to find it.
Right.
They're never going to go. They might look in the light, but they ain't going to think to look behind the light.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somebody did tell. So I'm sitting there, and I'm cuffed up, and there's a CO watching me, and I'm double jointed. I can slip out of my handcuffs.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to distract the cop, and I slip out of my handcuffs, and I flip him off, and I cuff myself back up, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm just trying to get him out of my cell, And I told him, nothing. Look, I'm cuffed up. So they're still looking. And all of a sudden, I start sweating. They're going up to the light, man. They're going up for it. They look in the light. I'm like, they're not going to look behind that light, man. Sure enough, they do. 12 knives start falling. Ding, 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 ding. We have the maintenance guy diving off of the ladder to hide under the bunk so he doesn't get stabbed.
Really?
I'm trying to pull the stunt. I slip out of my handcuffs again, get the cop that's watching me to attack me. He tackles me to the ground, telling the sergeant, he's uncuffed. I'm like, Sarge, look. I cuffed myself back up. And I'm like, Sarge, look, I'm cuffed up. I don't know what he's talking about. He just slammed me for no reason. It didn't matter. They still threw us in the hole, So now I know I'm buried there. I'm in EE. That's the worst of the worst, I know I wrap up in 3 months. There's nothing they can do. I can bail out in 3 months. So, if I'm going to be in the hole for that amount of time, I'm not going to go hungry, man. I know what I got to do. I'm going to act up and tell the CO, hey, you want to go home at the end of your shift on time? or am I popping the sprinkler? What is it? You want to give me an extra tray or what?
Yeah.
You know, and half the time they did, half the time they didn't.
Right.
But when they did it, man, we flooded out. We made them work, you know? We made them work.
So let me ask you about EE, being in EE.
Yeah.
Because I've been there before. Right. It's a fucking horrendous situation. As a matter of fact, the first time I was ever there, they sent me from my county. They shipped me out after I wiped the CO down.
Yep.
And they put me in EE.
Yep.
And I was in the cell that
the metal box.
Stevie Randall was, you know, Stevie Randall had been in that cell before me, and he had driven all this devil stuff on the back of the door, a Ouija board in the desk, and I'm like in that cell. I swear, man, like there was like demons in that cell, right?
Oh yeah.
But yo, and it's like you know,
dark.
Yelling all the time, bro. It's a boat bed in the middle of the thing. Explain how it is for you.
Oh, it's terrible. You got a stone table, a stone desk, a stone seat. You got a little time. I mean, you had the bunk beds, but they were smaller. You know what I mean? And then there was a metal cell called the rip out cell.
Right.
So when you wrapped up, you go to the rip out cell. It's all metal. There's no sprinkler to pop. It's just all metal. You know, you ain't doing nothing in that cell.
Right.
And they have the water set on timers, so they thought it couldn't flood out in that cell. Really, all you gotta do is peg the sink and just let it fill up while you block the bottom of your door with a mattress or something. Takes a little longer, but you know, you get it done. And by the time an hour walks around, they do their second round, they stay looking, and I'm swimming doing the back floor in my cell, and they're begging me, please, don't let the water out. We'll go get the vacuum. We won't even write you up. Just please don't let the water out. All my boys are pressuring me. What do I say? Release the Kraken. And I moved the mattress, and the freaking CO almost fell down the stairs because of all the water. You know, but I was just acting up in there trying to get food, and I realized Aaron's next door. I'm like, yo, I want to meet this dude. While I'm here, I want to meet this dude.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, is how did you end up with him? So let's talk about
So we got, you know how it is. There's captains, there's majors, you know, hierarchy in the COs. So we had Major Lancaster at the time.
Yeah.
Good dude, you know, he respected me, but I was acting up every day, you know, and he was getting sick of it. I said, look, you don't want me to act up? That's fine. Just put me over there with Hernandez. Like, I'm not leaving the hole until I get out of here in 3 months, so just put me over there, you know? And he's like, you know what? We're going to give you a shot. If you mess up, you're going back and you're never coming out of EE again. Take a leave. I said, all right, bet. Let's do that, you know? So I actually made sure my roommate came with me. You know, EE, you don't have a roommate. They kept us separate. But my boy Reggie, that was my cellmate with all the knives and everything. So I made sure he came with me.
How did you do that?
You know, I told him, I'm like, if he doesn't come with me, I'm not going, and we're gonna have the same problem every day that we have now.
And so the COs in that county, they kind of were, you know, they're like your homeboys, right? Like they're from
some of them are homeboys. Some of them are just scared to death. You know, they're rookies and they don't want to get in trouble. You know, so yeah.
How was the COs towards you?
Honestly, they love me, man. They respect me. They see what I do in there. You know, they see how I move, and you know, I never had an issue. I have COs coming up warning me, hey, you're about to get shaken down. If you have anything, let me hold it for you.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? I'm in the hole. I'm giving the CO. I have my radio, my Wellbutrin, whatever, and I get it back after I get raided. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm just trying to give a little context for how you actually get over there with him. So you get over there with Aaron and go through more of that story.
Right. So yeah, I made the deal with them. I said I won't act up if they put me over there with them, and they did. They put me in cell G4. Aaron was in cell G1 at the time. Like I said, there's 4 cells on the bottom, 4 on the top. The cell I went in with Reggie, the phone Aaron gets to use is right in front of my cell.
Right.
So he comes by every time to use the phone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he's going to talk to me or not. I'm banging on the door, me and Reggie, trying to talk to him. We just got over there. We're like, yo, Aaron, what's up, man? You need anything? You know, trying to look out for him like we would with any homeboy, you know? Trying to help him out. Because he had nothing. He just came in, you know? He didn't talk to nobody. He was nervous, you know, which I get. You know, high-profile case and everything.
When you say he's nervous, though, could you tell he was nervous?
He was definitely nervous, yeah. I mean, it's his first time in jail. He don't know what to expect, you know? And if he was technically a bloods don't live out there. And he's hearing all this from all the people in the hole, so he's nervous. But he also is trying to say he's not scared and he wants to go to population.
This is the thing, right? So from what I know of Double A, right? So, and I did mad time with him, too. He's a dog, man. Like, this motherfucker really would. He was a beast.
He really was.
And so I don't feel like he would have been nervous about people. I think he was probably nervous about his case.
Yeah.
You know, he was going through so much, you know what I mean? Probably nervous about losing his child or losing his girl. You got so much going on in the streets. Did he ever talk to you about any of that?
He tried to a few times. I stopped him out of respect. I said, Aaron, buddy, I don't want to know. Like, it took a while. But after we got that relationship going, I was like, buddy, I don't want to hear that. Like, that's for you. That's for you. Your lawyer probably told you don't mention your case. There's a reason.
Right.
I said half these dudes you think that are your friends in here are not,
Word.
and they're trying to get out any way they can. They're trying to make money off you any way they can.
Mm.
So they're going to be talking to TMZ, telling everything you just had a conversation with is going to be on TMZ tomorrow.
Fact.
You know, so I tried to stop him from doing that, which is a good thing, because down the line I ended up getting questioned by the same detective that arrested him.
Did you end up being his cellmate?
I ended up being right on the side of him.
Okay.
Right on the side of him. They never had, he was always able to walk around, like he wasn't in the hole, so he could like walk around during rec time and stuff, use the phone, use the shower. They gave him a TV eventually. They gave him a newspaper like everybody else gets eventually.
Really?
He got his canteen, yeah.
You get a TV and
He did. Because, like, think about it. When you're not in the hole and you're in a regular unit, they have TVs on the wall.
Right.
But because you're in the hole, you can't have them.
Mm.
So his lawyer fought for that because he's really not supposed to be in the hole.
Really?
If you don't want to let him in population, then give him the stuff he's supposed to have in population.
Yeah, that's kind of some bullshit, bro.
Right.
But it's right.
Right.
It's right.
Yes. So he was fighting for that for a little while, but he got it. He got the newspaper. He got the TV. The next step was going to be the population thing, and we'll get into that in a second because that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But yeah, so the first conversation I had with him, I hear him rapping upstairs in the shower one day, and he comes down to use the phone, right? I banged on the wall. I've already tried multiple times to talk to him. He wasn't saying a word. I banged on the window. I said, buddy, that was you rapping upstairs? He says, yeah. I said, you're terrible. He's like, what? So me and him start rap battling. That's how I got cool with him, you know? So me and him start kicking it. He comes over to the door now, talking to me and Reggie, you know. Finds out we're from Dover Street. Richie Ferreira and little Tony was just with him. They helped him out with shower shoes and stuff when he first came in. I didn't know that at the time, you know. So now he knows we know Richie Ferreira and Tony, and you know, he just built with us from there, you know.
Richie Ferreira is a big dude in your neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Speak about, you know, how he knew him and shit. Know?
So basically, when Aaron first got to ED, because I was in EE at the time first, when Aaron first touched down, Richie was already there.
Okay.
He's seen him walk in, and Richie does the right thing. Richie's the type of guy, Christmas time, Thanksgiving, everybody from Fall River, like the gang members took care of themselves, but any white dude from Fall River, we fed. We made a big mix for everybody, every holiday. And that was Richie. Richie would order every white guy a online bag, you know what I mean, for Christmas. That was him. He just helps out everybody, you know, and that's why he's got the respect on his name, you know, and he's been like that his whole life, you know. I've done 13 years, 9 years in Dartmouth, and every time it's been with him, and you know, he's always looked out.
Yeah, we'll get back to Doug. So you guys started building up the fact that, you know, you had mutual acquaintances and shit, people that looked out for him right when he came into the county. Did you, like, what was the atmosphere like with you guys over there? So
it was crazy. They wouldn't let me with him. I'm always behind a door. I'm always behind a fence, you know. But once we started kicking it, like every day we would write a rap at dinner time. Every day. You know, we just do that for rec. We play Jeopardy out the door. Just something to kill time, man. You know, he's telling me his whole life story. You know, he's got fan mail coming in like this. We're writing the girls, acting like we're him. Saying, oh, my account's frozen. Can you send money to this instead? And it's really me or whatever.
Similar shit.
You know, he loved it. He didn't care, you know, and it was funny. There's actually one time he's writing this guy from Texas. And I'm like, why are you writing this guy back? You know, and he goes, well, the guy sends me $300 every week, so I send him letters back. I'm like, you're a dog, man. You're a dog for that. You know, and it's funny because down the road when I came back to jail and I tried to yell at him out the window and tell him what happened, you know, when I went to court for him to help him. I asked him, I said, hey, buddy, what's up with that shortstop you were writing from Texas? He said, I gave him your daddy's address. You know, I wanted to kill him. But, yeah, he was funny, man. He was great. He was a great dude, man.
So let's talk about kind of how this all starts breaking down, right?
All right. So, basically, there's a million things. There's a million stories. I could tell you for days. Like, dude's 6'7", he's scared to death of spiders, screaming at the top of his lungs to get out of his cell because the daddy long legs were
let's talk about that.
You know what I mean? He's banging on the wall, trying to get out. The CO's not letting him out. He's pissed, right? So now he's got smoke with this CO. And this James Patterson book right here, All-American Murderer, James Patterson, I'm actually mentioned in the book, but it talks about this. It talks about what Aaron did in there. And the COs really didn't like him because he was high maintenance and they were being watched and had to do work a certain way, you know. So they kind of messed with him a lot, you know. So now he's got smoke with the CO over this little dumb stuff, you know. And the CO that's mentioned in the book is not the actual CO that this all happened with, by the way, you know. But
who was it?
It was Matthew Bowen, the CO. It says Joshua Pacheco in the book, but that was a totally different CO.
Right.
You know,
was he Pacheco actually there?
Pacheco was there. He was cool. He was fine.
I know Pacheco.
Yeah, Pacheco was great. It was the Matthew Bowen guy that was the problem. So basically, me and Aaron started rapping, you know, and we're writing raps every day. You know 95.5, the radio station?
Nah.
They used to play Midnight Madness, right? It was all rap at midnight.
Yeah.
So I'm in the hole, really in the hole.
Yeah.
I went to the barber shop and had my buddy smuggle me a radio.
Right.
So me and my celly made speakers, you know, we listening to that. And Aaron's got his radio because he's a loud one. So it's literally midnight. Everybody's supposed to be quiet and sleeping.
Yeah.
The CO's 2 feet away at the desk. You know, everybody's supposed to be sleeping.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Fat Joe comes on the radio and he goes, he's spitting a bar and he goes, I got my killers with me like I'm Aaron Hernandez. Right when that happened, me, Reggie, and Aaron all were like, yo, did you just hear that? Did you just hear that? Fat Joe just mentioned him on the radio. You know? But now the CO hears that and knows I have a radio. And I'm not supposed to have. So he comes and takes it, you know? And it was the same CO, Matthew Bowen, you know?
Damn.
So that happens, right? Now, the next morning, we had this thing, right, where, like I said, we would rap, whatever. So Aaron wrote a rap, and he said, MOB on your hand, you walk around like the man, because I have MOB on my, tattooed on my hand, right?
Yeah.
So he wrote that in a rap, whatever, nothing big, you know? He was actually pretty good at rapping, believe it or not.
Yeah, I bet.
But,
Smart kid.
yeah, he is. So one day we're outside, we're working out in the dog cages that they let us go in, you know, because he thought he could get out soon. So he's trying to stay in shape at first. You know, he really had that mentality. He was still working out every day.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm out there working out with them. They only give us an hour. We come back in. SIU, the investigation unit in Dartmouth, is tearing his cell apart. Right. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you in my cell? He goes, the main one, Sergeant Drinkwine comes up to him, and he has a yellow piece of paper in his hand, which was the rap that Aaron wrote.
Yeah.
MOB on your hand, you walk around like the man.
Yeah.
He's got that in the rap, and he goes, Mr. Hernandez, we heard you're trying to fight to go to population. And he goes, yeah. Drinkwine goes, well, you're not. He's like, why the fuck not, you know?
Right.
He goes, MOB. That means member of blood, they told him. You're classified to the hole for your safety because Bloods don't live in Bristol County. They get shipped out or whatever, or PC, and he's not going to do that.
Let me just say this. I've seen Bloods living in Bristol County.
Certain ones.
Yeah.
Certain ones. You know, they'll fight every day, and after a while, they'll have the respect, and, you know, they'll get to stay, but it's very, very rare.
You remember First Degree from Brockton? First, they call him First?
Nah.
Big black dude.
Nah.
Yeah, he's a Brockton cat. He's a blood, bro. He went there and he threw a crip off the top tier. Fucking body slammed a couple dudes. He's fucking dudes up.
Was that in GB, you know?
Was it GB?
Yeah, that was GB. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that was before they changed it.
That's
in GA, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that was in GA.
He got flight lifted, I believe.
GA before they changed GA to PC.
Right.
This was when GA was a regular.
Right, exactly.
And GP was PC.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now it's FAPC. They changed it all up, you know.
But anyways, back to double.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's a blood and they want to live.
Right, so now they have this proof that he's a blood, right? So what does Aaron do? He takes the freaking paper and he chews it up and swallows it, so now they have no evidence.
Yeah.
This guy got so mad. He's beat red in the face that Aaron just really did that. Yeah. He just really swallowed a whole piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like, so he wouldn't get in trouble.
Right.
We know they're coming.
Right.
He just got canteen. He's got 26 honey buns. It even says it in the book if you guys ever get a chance to read it. We know they're coming. They're coming deep, and they're going to take him to EE now. Yeah. So we smashed, me, Reggie, and him smashed 26 honey buns in 12 minutes.
Damn.
Ready to puke. And honey buns in jail is heaven. You can't eat 26 of them, though, in 12 minutes, man.
Right.
You can't. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You know, they make the big boys. They do all that stuff.
That's
in there,
close, bro.
It's too much, man. It's too much, you know. But we did it because they knew they were going to take his food and, you know, fuck them, you know.
Right.
Aaron gets surrounded by 30 COs. They take him to EE. They put him on suicide watch for 2 days to mess with him. They put him butt naked in a Fergie in the rip-out cell, the all-metal cell.
Yeah.
So all he's got is a mattress, this little Fergie thing that doesn't stay on you to cover you up, and a CO sitting right in front of his cell door watching him, you know, writing stuff down what he's doing every few minutes. You know, he's on eyeball watch for 2 days straight, eating Nutriloaf. Nutriloaf, if you guys don't know, it's your cake, it's your dessert, it's your vegetables, it's your meat, your potatoes, everything put in one. that's what you get on Suicide Watch, you know.
Yeah,
and it was horrible, you know. It was horrible. So, you know,
how did you get on Nutriloaf?
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you're on Suicide Watch, that's what they give you because they don't want. It's called finger food.
Yeah.
They don't want you throwing it or choking on it and trying to kill yourself with it. They won't even give you a spoon. You get a biodegradable oatmeal spoon that barely works. So you're really eating when your hand like an animal. So I'm still in ED with Reggie now. They already moved us over there, but now Aaron's in EE now.
Damn.
What do? Pop my sprinkler, I'm going over there with my boy.
Right,
and that's what I did. And I ended up right on the side of him. He ends up going in cell M8 on the top tier. I end up in cell M7. To this day, his radio was still behind the heater because his hands was too big and they were coming. And he dropped it and he could never get it back. So Aaron Hernandez radio, cell M8, Bristol County, EE unit, is still behind the heater if anybody can get it.
If you got a slim ass arm, you could probably be a millionaire.
It's still got his ID number on it and everything.
Word.
Right. It was great. Aaron is hungry. He's starving. He needs food. He's a big dude, you know?
Yeah.
They took all his food. So now I have the job. I'm a unit worker now, right? Yep. I told them, like, you don't give me this extra food, man. I'm acting up. So they made me work for it. They said, you're going to clean up the unit at night with the shackles on, do the mop, do the sweep, clean the showers, you know. But I get an extra tray every day.
Right.
So I started splitting that with him every day. I have to. That's my dude, you know.
That's what's up.
He's hungry, you know. That's what I did. And he loved it. He loved me for that, you know. I never asked him for stuff. He just gave me stuff because I didn't ask, you know.
Right.
So he helped me out a lot, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But
was there other dudes, real quick? Were there other dudes that were trying to like feed off?
Oh yeah. He was writing fake autographs, fake letters for certain people that he didn't like because they were trying to say, I want $50 in my account for this little steak cake or whatever, you know. So he's like, you know what? I'll just write you an autograph. You get way more. It wasn't even his handwriting.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they didn't know at the time. But this poor guy is fishing for oatmeal and cake off the floor. The cake's not even covered. It's got hair on it. He doesn't care. He's that hungry, dude. It's awful.
Yeah.
So one day they feed us that bullshit mac and cheese meal they gave us, and you know nobody eats that stuff. So he's hungry. There's a guy with a Muslim tray that wants to trade. I'm the unit runner. I clean.
Right.
So I pass him the Muslim tray so he can eat, and I give the other guy the mac and cheese. That's all I did.
Right.
Switch the food trays for them so these guys can eat in the hole.
Right.
They came and fired me for that, right? When they fired me for that, the whole entire unit wrote out for me. Every single cell fought the move team one by one by one the whole time.
Right.
So the move team would come in. If you refuse to cuff up 3 times, they're going to pepper spray in the room, and then they're coming in and messing you up, and you are getting bundled.
Yeah.
You're getting bundled.
Talk about that move team. Did Double A ever fight?
Oh, my God. He never fought him when I was there. He did. I mean, he rode out with us. He popped his sprinkler. He did flood out with us and everything, but he never fought the move team with us. All the other cells did, which people I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But the thing was, this started at 6 p.m., dinner time, right? It was about dinner time. This didn't end. They didn't get to my cell, because I'm the person who started all this. They didn't get to me till 4 a.m.
Damn.
Because they would go one cell at a time, have the PCs come, clean up the spray, and then an hour later, they go in and hit the other cell. They tried to make us tired and forget about the situation.
Right.
We weren't forgetting about it.
Right.
And after you keep spraying every cell, man, eventually we can't breathe.
Right.
So I'm in the cell with my boy Little Tony, and if anybody knows him, he ain't so little. You know, Little Tony is a monster, and I would never want to fight this dude. He is not going to stop until he's ready to stop.
It kind of goes with the stereotype, like all the little Tonys or little Jeffs or whatever, they're all giants.
Right. So this dude is huge. Me, I was still using, I'm strung out to the gills, soaking wet, probably 165 pounds, right? So we find this big metal screw from the heater. We can't breathe. Like, we really can't breathe.
Yeah.
So Tony's trying to bang out the window, trying to smash the back window so we can get some fresh air in there, something. And he's going at it. I said, Tony, give me that thing. I used to play baseball. He says, I know, kid. Let me see that.
Yeah.
You're 165 pounds. What are you going to do that I can't?
Yeah.
I took this screw, and I don't know what happened. I threw it a certain way, and all of a sudden, we're like, where did it go? It didn't reflect. It didn't bounce. Where's the screw? It went out the window like a bullet. The window was shattered like a bullet hole, and then it just spiderwebbed more and more and more until it completely shattered. Right? So before they come, I'm cleaning out all the extra glass so they don't know, because you get charged for that stuff, right? So I clean out all the extra glass. Now I need to distract them. When they come in to fight us, because they're going to fuck me up, me and Tony, because we started all this. They are going to mess us up. So we tied fishing line all over the floor. So when they come in all stacked up together, they're going to trip. You know? We had trays of oatmeal, mashed potatoes, shit, piss, everything. Throw at them just to distract them so they don't see the freaking window, you know? And it worked. It freaking worked. So they come in, they bundled us up, they ripped us out the cell, they carried me like a suitcase, hit my head off every single door on the way to dispatch. Damn. They stomped me out. I had a size 13 boot print on my back for about 3 days. You know, they messed me up. But
it doesn't sound like the SEALs liked you as much.
Yeah, sometimes they don't. You know what I mean? When you force their hand, they got to do what they got to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No doubt.
So, you know, and that all happened because I tried passing Aaron food. You know, and then, so now I lost my job.
Right.
So now we need a new scheme to get food. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah.
So my new scheme, if you guys go on TMZ.com, type in Operation Bumblebee, Aaron Hernandez threatens a CO, the whole story will come up.
So this is the story.
This is the story.
Operation Bumblebee.
Right. So
okay,
basically,
let's break down Operation Bumblebee, okay?
Operation Bumblebee.
I'm gonna have to put a little thing at TMZ up.
You have to.
On the
you got it. I even got the tattoo. I don't know if you guys can see it from there, but there is a Bumblebee tattooed on me. There is a Patriot symbol with Aaron's number 81 with a teardrop on me. You know, that was my boy. So I come up with this plan. I said, you know what? I'm going to eat half my food. Yeah. I'm going to throw a hair, a rock, anything. Yeah. And be like, yo, there's something in my food, man. I already ate half of it. So now they're like, okay, we'll get you something else so you don't act up.
Right.
When they get me the new tray, the trash barrel where they would throw the old tray out is in front of Aaron's cell. So Aaron would always be like, yo, let me get that. I'm hungry. And he would. And he'd pick out the hair, pick out the rock. Every meal, we got an extra half a tray. And you've been down to the hole. You've seen that double glass. So we didn't realize that same CO that hated us was behind the glass for 2 days straight. I go, it's burritos. It was a Thursday, right? So I said, yo, hey. I said, there was a dead bumblebee on my floor. I said, yo, hey. He's like, yo. I said, Operation Bumblebee. He's like, you sick fuck. Because he knew it was going to be a bumblebee in the food, you know?
Yeah.
So I ate half of it. I put the bumblebee in. I stopped flipping out on Matthew Bowen, the CO. I said, dude. There's a freaking bumblebee in my food. Like, are you kidding me right now? He's like, hold on, buddy. Let me get you a new tray.
So what was the food?
It was burritos. It was like the best meal they had. You know what I mean? So we get that. He gives it to me. Now, Aaron, instead of giving him the other tray, the CO said, Mr. Hernandez, let me finish passing out lunch and then I'll give you this extra tray. So Aaron's like, all right, man, cool. Because it was the same CO so many days in a row behind the glass that we didn't notice, he caught on to us.
Yeah.
Man, he went up to this biggest sex offender cell in the hole and said, Aaron, look at this. So Aaron's looking out the food slot. He's handing him Aaron's food. So now, you don't do that. You don't mess with somebody's food in jail, especially give it to a sex offender. You know what I mean? You don't do that, bro. Right. Like, we're just hungry. That's it. You don't have to do all that. That's disrespectful.
Right.
So obviously Aaron's going to get pissed.
Yeah.
All he said was, you're a bitch. If I ever seen you on the street, I bet you tell me you was just doing your job, you little pussy. I'll smack the fire out your bitch ass. That's it.
Word.
That's it. The CO is trying to say he made machine gun noises with his mouth. He said he was going to put a hit out on him and his whole family. Yeah. Like, made a big deal out of it.
Well, like that?
Yeah, made a big deal out of it. Like, he was really in fear for his life.
Yo, where they do that a lot, bro.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So now, we got shut off from the extra food because now they know what we're doing. This guy's not allowed to work in the block with us. I only got like 60 days left, not even, to bail out. It's about to be my daughter's birthday, right? Her fifth birthday. My daughter, Brooklyn, grew up with me. She was living at my house till she was 4 years old. I had her when I was 18, so I was young.
Okay.
But the last phone call I had with her, man, was when she was 5 years old. She's 17 now. So I made a deal. It was her birthday. I'm in the hole. You're not supposed to use the phone.
Right. I
said, buddy, if you don't let me use that phone, you already know you're not going home.
Yeah.
So they let me use the phone, of course. Now, this is where it gets crazy. I call my daughter. She's turning 5. I said, Brooklyn, what do you want for your birthday? She tells me a calendar. Dude, what 5-year-old wants a calendar for their birthday, man?
I don't know.
So she knows when I'm coming home, bro.
Oh, okay.
Dude, she thought I was sick at the doctor's for a whole year and a half. So she tells me, Daddy, how come when I'm sick, the doctor can fix me and make me better, but he can't make you better? She goes, Daddy, I'm going to be a doctor when I get big and fix you so we can be together again.
Right.
Dude, that broke my heart.
Damn, kid.
I went back to the unit in tears. Aaron's like, what's up, man? What happened? I tell him. Instantly, he drew her a whole calendar, a Patriots calendar, signed every month of it, sent a Toys R Us gift card and a birthday card to her, right to her. You know what I'm saying? Wow. My kid's mother still never gave it to her to this day. You know, it's crazy.
Bro, I just want to say something about that because there's so many people hating on Aaron. You know, he's a monster. He's a killer.
Great father.
You know, he killed these friends, whatever. Yep. You know, they have so many negative things to say about him. but they always avoid the positive.
Always.
You know
TMZ wanted me to do an interview and talk shit about him before his trial.
So let's talk about that real quick.
So
he wants to do an interview?
Right. So basically what happened was, okay, after this all happened with Aaron threatening the CO, I had very little time left in that jail before I could bail out.
Right.
So, like I said, Aaron did everything for my daughter. Now me and him are like getting even closer. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I got stories for days with him in there.
We'll get into all of it.
But I need to bail out now. Now it's time for me to bail out. We had a plan. We're going to steal. They had IDs at the time for inmates.
Yep.
When he first came in and went to medical, this inmate Corey Hayden tried to steal his ID and send it to TMZ and mail it for $25,000.
Yeah.
The COs intercepted it and caught it. So now they changed it from IDs to bracelets.
Well, all because of that?
All because of that.
Really?
So now we have this plan. His lawyer was coming in.
I hate those bracelets, by the way.
Right. His lawyer was coming in every Thursday, bringing us, whatever. His lawyer was doing the right thing for us. We had our fun. We called it going to church. Aaron was doing his thing.
Yeah.
And
so he was lugging or something?
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God, that's a story that nobody knows about.
Absolutely. His lawyer was bringing everything. Is not there. He started K2 when he left Dartmouth.
Yeah.
When he was there, it was Suboxone.
Yeah.
It was Wellbutrin, gabapentin. It was THC tabs, all from his lawyer.
What?
This guy doesn't realize when you're using on the street, you have a whole different tolerance than when you're clean in jail.
Yeah.
When you're clean in jail, a $5 Suboxone strip that you normally would take 3 of on the street, a little tiny piece of it.
Oh, I know.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
People are fighting, stabbing each other over a Suboxone strip. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
So he doesn't realize he doesn't need the whole thing.
Yeah.
He does the whole entire strip. Dude, he was puking for 2 days. He had to refuse the hospital because they would have drug tested him and he would have known.
Yeah.
So he's puking his brains out for 2 days, the poor kid. He just didn't know. But we had this plan. When I bailed out, my bail was $1,350 at the time. I needed $300 more. He chipped that into my mom. I bailed out. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm on the street. The whole plan was for me to get his bracelet from his lawyer, sign a contract, sell it to TMZ, and split it with him.
Right.
The dude's about his money. He's locked up. He needs bread. He's a hustler. That's his mentality.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he liked me. He trusted me. He actually wanted me to go on Dr. Phil for him. Dr. Phil was writing him.
Right.
He wrote back to Dr. Phil and said, I have somebody coming out with my story, and I want you to put him on there.
Yeah.
So he gives me all the information, Dr. Phil's information, his lawyer's information, 2 of his lawyers, his girl's information, everybody I needed to contact to get all this stuff done when I leave to make this happen. I'm bailing out. I'm changing into my street clothes in the jail, in the cell.
Yeah.
I put my mail down for a second. SIU snatches it up and says, you're not leaving until we go through all this. I said, buddy, that's my personal mail. I'm leaving. I already bailed out. I'm in my street clothes. Like, what are you doing?
Oh.
Anything that had his name or his number on it, anything, they took. Everything. So that whole plan fell apart. You know what I'm saying? It was bad. It was bad. It was bad.
It was the type of place where they took my Jordan.
Oh yeah. And they got lost.
Yeah, they said they
sell them. Yeah, they sell them. They sell them online. I know who.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
I hate that shit, man.
But yeah, so
now I bail out. I'm still in the midst of using, and I just came home from jail. Yeah, but I wasn't ready to get sober.
Right.
So I'm with my boy, Dover boy Joey Furtado. I'm at my mother's house while she.
I know Joey. Shout out to Joey.
Shout out to Joey. I'm out there, man, and I was smoking crack at my mom's house, man. And all of a sudden, I get a knock on the door, and I know it's not my parents. They ain't supposed to be home yet.
Right.
And it's the guy that arrested Aaron Hernandez, the guy that was on the left, Detective Eric Benson. He's at my door. And I know I'm not in trouble, but why is there a cop at my door after I'm smoking a hit of crack at my mom's house?
Right. Did you know it was that cop?
No. So I opened the door real quick, and he's like, Steven Shavs? I said, no, and I shut it. He goes, Steven, you're not in trouble. We want to talk to you about Aaron Hernandez. Instantly, money signs started going through my head. I'm like, okay. I said, Joey, get on the webcam. Record this right now. Get this whole thing recorded.
Yeah.
He tries, he tried to set it up. I let the guy in. I put the pit bull in the cage, I got him in my mom's kitchen. We're talking. Joey calls me over after a few seconds and he goes, dude, I can't figure it out. I can't get it to work. I said, don't worry. I put my phone on voice recorder and I had it in my sweatshirt pocket.
Yeah.
So for 2.5 hours while this man is questioning me, asking me about all this stuff, did Aaron tell you about his case? Did he tell you about this? Did he tell you about that? The only thing I admitted to Aaron telling me was that surveillance camera footage at his house when he's holding a gun walking out of his basement. Yeah. I said, man, that's the one thing he did tell me about his case. I said, that's not a gun, bro. That's not a gun. That's a universal remote. It looks like a gun. I said, you aim it at the TV and press the trigger, it changes the channel.
Really?
You aim it at the light and turn it and press the trigger, it shuts it on and off.
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, it was bullshit, but I told him that.
Yeah.
Down the line during during his real trial, in the transcripts, it even says they can't use it because of reasonable doubt, because an inmate literally confessed to Aaron admitting that that was a universal remote of some kind. So they weren't able to use that as much in the trial. So it kind of helped them a lot.
But so your testimony on it helped him in his trial.
Absolutely.
And that's the one he beat?
That's the one he beat. And on top of it, I wasn't even there to testify about that trial. It was about him threatening the CO, which he never did. Yeah. That's why they came to my house, because he wanted me as a witness to say he was right there. I did not threaten this man.
Right.
You know, and of course I'm going to do that for him. Absolutely, I'm going to do that for him. Yeah. He helped me with my daughter. He wrote me letters to sell to TMZ, everything. You know, it was great. We had this whole thing worked out. We were going to make a lot of money in there.
Yeah. And was he supportive of you using this shit for social media or anything?
All about it, dude.
Yeah.
Me. Yeah. Nobody else. Because everybody asked him for stuff, and he didn't like that. Right. I never asked. Right. And that's why he messed with me and helped me. Right. So he goes like this. He goes, Stevie, I'm going to do something for you. Right before I left, I'm like, what's up? What are you going to do? He's like, watch. I'm going to write a letter to you, and you're going to respond back, but I'm going to tell you what to say. Right. Because he wanted to make himself look good before the trial, you know, like he's not a monster. Because he's not, dude. He's not. People in jail are not bad people. They got caught up in a bad circumstance. I mean, most of them. You can't say all of them, but most of them, you know? They're not bad people, bro.
This is the way I see it, bro. Life is a lot deeper than motherfuckers think, right? So we are so quick to criticize, judge, and be so hard on other people, right? But the fact is that there's so many factors that can lead up and morph somebody into, you know, actually becoming or doing something that they never thought they could do. And I go through it myself in situations where, you know, the first time I ever threw a punch, I looked at my hand like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. You know what I mean? And then before I know it, you know, I will pull out the weapon, you know what I mean, or the knife or whatever. And it's like you could get to a place in your mind and you don't realize where you're going with it until you get a chance to step back and you're like, damn, you know, this is what I got. And that's what jail did for me.
I hit a guy with a brick. Split his head open. You know what I mean? Like they rolled out. They told me because I called to do the wreck because I know him from the street. So because I did that, I got a hit. You know? Right. That's the rules. So my boy rolls out a towel. It's got a buck knife. We're in Ash Street Jail. He's got a buck knife, a butterfly knife, a lead pipe, and a brick. And he's like, take your pick, kid. Yeah. Oh my God. I said, give me the brick, man. I'm not trying to go to like catch a murder charge. I said, give me the brick. This dude's a big dude. Yeah. You know, so I think I'm slick. And I had two people that weren't really the greatest. One's an alleged rat, one's an alleged sex offender. I said, you guys handle this. I'm checking you off the block. No, I made them do it. They went in the shower with him to wipe him down. Yeah. They both got wiped down. Oh my! So God. Now I'm like, great. Now I really
said the worst people to go.
Now I really got. Oh yeah, you know what I mean. I'm like, whatever. Screw that. Now I really got to handle this. Yeah. So the guy's looking up on Ash Street. He's on the bottom tier and he's looking up, talking to the guy on 8 Alley, way up there. So he's not paying attention. Yeah. Came up behind him, hit him 3 times with the rock. Boom, boom, boom. He's gushing blood. He didn't fall, bro. He's a big dude. He didn't fall. Now I'm getting nervous. I threw the rock in another random guy's cell. I said, get rid of this. He did his thing. Now I'm pretending I have a knife on me. And I'm like, come on. Let's go to my cell. Come on. He would have got me in the cell. It was over. He's a big dude. Right. Thank God. He starts walking by the stairs where the lieutenant was, and he passed out from blood loss.
Oh, shit.
Yes. Yes. You know, it was great. But, you know.
We'll get back into that.
So, let's go from there. So, basically, right, this guy is at my house questioning me. Yeah. I got him all recorded. Right. He's asking me, did Aaron talk to you about his case? I said, no, I wouldn't let him. Every time he tried, I said, Aaron, don't do that. You don't do that in here. You talk about your case in here to the wrong person, you're done. Yeah. You're done. Yeah. You're a high-profile inmate. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. They're going to use anything to try to get clout. Right. You know, and I'm trying to explain that to him and break it down to him the right way without sounding like, oh, just talk to me. Don't talk to nobody else. Because it's not like that. I'm trying to help you. You know, and he understood that. He loved that about me, right? So now... I
chose you to do this. Right. And I got to ask you about the other kid that ended up doing it before we go. So.
Exactly. Right. So now I end up leaving, right? I end up bailing out, like I said. I'm at my house. The guy questioned me. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this recording? Right. So I hit up TMZ. And they're like, they listened to it and everything. At the time, I still had before I lost everything, the calendar, the birthday card, the Toys R Us card. I still had his Sports Illustrated magazine that was sent directly to him in jail. It wasn't a sticker. It was his name, ID number, everything printed on the cover that he autographed for me. Like, I had all of that stuff, you know, and it went missing down the road years later, whatever.
That sucks.
It sucks. Yeah. It sucks. I still might have a couple letters to this day that he wrote me from on the street. But so check this out, right? So now I hit up TMZ. They're like, okay, we'll give you $1,000. I get the $1,000, and they're like, you want to make $5,000 more? I said, why? What's up? What do you want from me? And they said, well, we want you to do an interview and kind of like, you know, make him seem like he's like getting in a lot of trouble before his trial.
Right.
This guy is not a monster. I'm not paying him to be a monster before his trial. That's wrong.
Fact.
This guy's done nothing but help me and my daughter and my mom. Like, I can't do that. That's wrong, you know? Yeah. So I refused that instantly, you know? I'm not even quite.
I feel like $5,000's even a low scale into something, but you know what I mean? Yeah, they were probably lowballing you at the same time. You did the honorable thing and said no.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so, did anything come of that after?
Absolutely.
So what happened?
So I wrote him a letter. I told him everything, you know? I wrote him everything. I told him everything. I didn't get a letter back. This guy gets fan mail like this at the time. So I didn't think, I'm like, okay, he'll get to it eventually, you know? Right. Because he doesn't read them all at once. And I know that. But when he's bored, he'll start opening them. So I figured he'll write back when he sees it, you know? Yep. So at the time I'm on the street, like I said, I'm still using. Yep. Me and my parents weren't getting along. I left. I went to a program in Methuen, Mass to get sober. Right. I was in there for 2 weeks. I was completely sober. I could pass the urine and everything. Because I wasn't talking to my mother, she got nervous and she Section 35'd me. If anybody doesn't know what that is, if you're at risk of overdose, your friends or family can call the court and they can come get you and get you evaluated by the judge and the doctor. And if they feel you're at risk of overdose, they can Section 35 you to Massac, which was at the time, it was in Bridgewater State Prison, right? I'm in Bridgewater State Prison. It was the you know, the bunkers. That's where they had everybody detoxing and stuff. We're not really inmates. We're just detoxing. Right. But it's a jail setting. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get out of there the fastest way I can if I have to go. So now the cops come into the program I was at in Methuen, which I didn't know was legal. They grabbed me. They brought me to the courthouse in Lawrence. They said, we're going to evaluate you for the Section 35. I get in front of the judge. I said, Your Honor, I was already in a drug program. I'm completely sober. I could pass the urine right now. I don't know what this is. I'm not at risk of overdose. Like, why am I getting sectioned right now? I just got pulled out of a program that was really helping me. Right. So he says, you know what? I still got to section you. So now there's nothing I can do to fight it. It's court ordered. I have to go. Yeah. The thing is, it's a 30 to 90 day program. Right. I want to get out in 30 days. I don't want to do the whole 90. Yeah. So as soon as I got there, I got myself a job as a runner, you know, trying to just do the right thing, get the hell out of there, man. Fact. So now I'm in the unit. I'm in, you know, where everybody first comes in, they're detoxing, the red uniforms, they're sick. I'm passing out the breakfasts and stuff like that, you know, just looking good, trying to get out early. Now, they're about to move everybody from Bridgewater State Prison to Plymouth Forestry. It was the old state prison, the minimum. No barbed wire fence, nothing. The COs are like, yo, you guys can run away. We can't chase you. You're going to have a warrant for 2 days. If we don't find you, you're good. No, that's a lie. It's a lie. If you escape from Brockton, Matsy, that's the fact. If you escape from Plymouth Forestry, they can chase you to Mexico. Yeah. So I didn't know this. But these guys are all talking about escaping. So me being a hustler, I'm like, okay, well, you're not letting me take canteen with me, but I can take cosmetics. You ever seen them softy shampoo bottles from jail? The gray ones you can't see through? Yeah. So I fill it with chili powder, bro. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to make chili powder bombs because if these guys escape, the first thing they're going to do is sell the dogs. Yeah. That's it. I'm going to sell these chili powder bombs. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get some money out of this. So that was the plan. I'm the last bus to leave. Oh, I call my mom. This is before I moved to Plymouth Forestry. I was the last bus to leave. So I'm still one of the last people at Bridgewater. Yeah. I call my mom from the phone. She says, Aaron Hernandez just wrote you a letter. Right. I said, well, I'm bored. I'm in here. Can you give me his address? I'll write him back. She says, I'm at work. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. Buddy, I went to sleep that night and I woke up hearing the COs talking about him killing himself that night. Get out of here. That night. Listen to this. I think I'm dreaming, man. I think I'm dreaming. This is crazy. I just got a letter. I'm like, what's up? Like, what does the letter even say? Like, is it cryptic? Like, what's happening? What's going on? Did he really kill himself? So I'm thinking I'm dreaming, man. I wake up to pass out breakfast. I look at the news, man. It happened. It freaking happened, right? Man. So now I'm wondering, what did that letter say? Like, did it say anything about that? Like, I want to know. Yeah. So I'm curious. I pass out the breakfast. I sit on an empty bed, and I'm watching the news, just horrified. Yeah. All of a sudden, the CO comes in and, Chavez, you got to move. I said, what's up? Somebody needs that bed. They're coming in. Cool. I pull up a chair. Dude, this little old man comes in. His last name was Hernandez. The bed number he sat in was 81.
What the fuck?
I said, that's Aaron's number. I said, this guy's talking to me right now. This is crazy.
Yo.
2 days goes by. Everybody gets moved to Plymouth Forestry. The cell they put me in was 18, which is his number backwards.
Yeah.
Nobody has been in that prison for 3 months. Okay? We are the first people to go back there after all the state prisoners left.
Yeah.
You know, they give you a lockbox to put your canteen in?
Yeah.
I opened my lockbox. Every single picture of him from the newspaper was taped to my lockbox. This all happened within 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dude, this guy is really talking to me.
How did it get like that?
I don't know. When he killed the box, it was from the state prisoners that was there before. That was an old minimum state prison. Like, they used to have that. You know, it was like a minimum security. You could just, you know, do whatever you want. Just don't run away or you're going to get, you know, it's for like, pre-release people who are like about to get out, so they're not going to risk escaping. They only got like 6 months left.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And the COs, like I said, were telling us to run. They're like, dude, you can run, you can run. You can run. So I get over there, right? I'm like, now I'm over there, and I'm freaked out by all this.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking, no, I'm going to get out in 30 days. I'm already on day like 24. I'm like, I got like a week left. Like, I'm not running with you guys. You guys are knuckleheads.
Right.
So I'm selling chili powder. I'm making money. I'm getting cash apps, you know,
Yeah.
doing whatever. And all of a sudden, I had to go to my first class, right? So I get to class. I still don't know who my caseworker is, my counselor. I get to class, right? And this is right after Aaron killed himself. I got a red folder, and I'm in my head, and I'm writing R.I.P. Chico. That was his nickname. Like, we call him Chico.
Right.
You know, so I wrote that on my folder. The guy that was teaching the class starts yelling at me, screaming at me. When I'm speaking, you're looking at me. I said, buddy, listen, I have ADHD. I am listening. I am writing on my folder. That's it.
Right.
Then he lets me go, and all of a sudden he goes, I guess Aaron Hernandez really does know how to tie the knot. Okay, cool. Just because I know him, everybody's going to have their own opinion. I get that. I can't be mad at that, but it's still aggravating hearing it, you know, because that was my friend.
Right.
Like, it still hurt. He goes again and makes another joke.
Right.
Now I'm getting more mad. So now I'm really on my folder, just scribbling away, trying not to think, trying not to freak out.
Right.
And he goes, I told you to stop writing on your folder when I'm speaking. He's like, what's your name? I said, me? He's like, yeah, what's your name? I said, Aaron Hernandez. Why, what up, motherfucker? You know, he got crazy.
Yeah.
Comes to find out, that was my counselor. That guy's name is 90 Day Glenn, Program Glenn.
Yeah.
He is going to make you do the whole 90 days no matter how good you do.
Yeah.
So now my whole mental state changes. I'm like, dude, I'm on day 24. I was expecting to go home in 30 days. This guy's never going to let me home now.
Yeah.
I'm escaping.
Right.
I'm running.
Yeah.
So I start running with these dudes, right? We make a big plan. We say, look, if everybody goes at the same time, we're going to be okay. You know what I mean? So there's 13 of us, and we all escaped. I made it 38 miles away in the woods. They caught us. We went Plymouth, Plimpton, Carver, Wareham. They caught us at the Wareham State Diner where they filmed the movie Ted 2.
Yeah.
There's a scene.
Yeah.
That's where they caught us. I had a shotgun to my neck, taser to my face. And because they had nowhere to put us, they put us in the sex offender treatment center in a hole for 90 days. We have a huge class action lawsuit over this. Huge. Kid died. He was detoxed from benzos and methadone. Benzos and alcohol. We're screaming for the nurse. She doesn't come. I'm seeing all these sex offenders that I beat up in county jail that are now seeing me, and they're like, yeah, you're in my house now, bitch. And they're making my food. You're not letting me order canteen, man.
I don't think they make the food, do
they? Do make the food. It's all sex offenders in that place. They do.
They make it in the main camp. And
Nah, when I was doing it, nope. It was the sex offenders making the food. They were writing Massac, hope you like this protein, right on our trays.
Oh, man.
Yep, they wouldn't let us order canteen. Thank God for Richie Ferreira having a good name, because one of the COs knew him. Yeah. And he looked out for me. Yeah. He would bring me in street food every day. And I was the worker. He'd be like, yo, come in the closet. I got something for you. It'd be chicken nuggets, chicken fingers, cheeseburger. You know, he helped me out.
How did that end up happening?
They had nowhere to put us, so they put us back. We're just going to run away again.
Right.
So now...
Oh, that's all in the same compound.
Right.
Okay,
so now...
that's why
They had a right to do it when the Massac was in Bridgewater. You can go... If you got into a big enough fight, you go to the hole and offender treatment center for up to 72 hours. That was it. 72 hours. Not 90 days. Yeah. And not after you moved us from Bridgewater to Plymouth. Now the contract's null and void.
They kept you there for
They kept us there for the whole 90 days, man.
Oh my
the whole 90 days. We're popping sprinklers every day. We're calling the news. We're calling the governor. We're doing everything we can to get out of there, man. Nothing.
That's wild.
Right? Yeah. Nothing's happening. So it was just nuts, man. It was crazy. I eventually...
What was over there?
I don't know if
Richie was there with you?
No, Richie wasn't there, but the CO knew Richie. He
back
today.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy actually used to play for the Red Sox too, Dale Burgo. He hurt his elbow, you know what I'm saying? But he used to play for the Red Sox a little bit. But yeah, he knew Richie real well, so he took care of me at least.
Okay,
but I mean, everybody else suffered, you know.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You know, so we got a little thing going.
The worst part is you weren't even locked up.
I wasn't even locked up. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. You put me in there with sex offenders, I'm not even locked up.
Yo, that's the worst,
right.
kid.
So I end up eating soup. I chipped my tooth on a staple. I'm supposed to get 20 grand just for that. You know, next month is the last day. They have to give us a real offer or it's trial.
So you filed a lawsuit?
Oh, yeah. It's class action. It's been 7 years, dude. It's been 17 years. Next month's the last day. So we're looking
there was a staple in your food?
Yeah, in my soup, and I was eating it, and I chipped my front tooth, and they refused to fix it for me. So because they refused to fix it, that's easy 20 grand separately from everything else. But you gotta remember, these off to me in the shower.
Damn.
They're watching me shower. They're jerking. Every time you leave your cell, you go to a strip cage, then you go to the shower, then you go back to the strip cage, and you go to your cell. They're dude, talking crazy. Like, they're throwing stuff in my food. They're flashing me their fake titties that they got. Like, you know, it was just weird, man. It was weird. So we had to suffer like, man, it was terrible. Bro, my first 5 days there, they had me butt naked, calling my mom on Mother's Day on the phone through the food slot. And if the wire hits the door, you get electrocuted. I'm butt naked getting electrocuted on Mother's Day trying to call my mom from a sex offender state prison.
Yo, this sounds like a fucking...
Yeah. My life is a movie, bro. My whole life.
Yeah.
You know? So, and it was crazy. It was freaking crazy, man.
So let's get back on track with this, man.
Let's do it.
You end up getting hit off. You end up going to court.
I end up going to court, bro. Today's the day. I got a message on my my Facebook for memories.
Yeah.
Today was the day. 11 years or whatever it said. I think it was 11 years ago now. I think it said, and it was today's the day I went to the grand jury thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I had the paperwork saved on there. I had the paperwork from TMZ, sent the contract saying how much that paid me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got all that, bro. So I'm at the trial and I'm testifying, giving my my testimony, saying Aaron never threatened the CO. He said he would slap him. He said he's a bitch. Yes, he did do that because look at what he did. He gave Aaron's food away. Just to piss him off.
Right.
So now I gave my testimony. Now I'm sitting back and I'm watching. Matthew Bowen, the cop, goes up to give his testimony and he's up there straight lying.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not in jail. I'm on the street watching this. I got so mad, I couldn't help myself but call him a liar right out while he's giving his testimony. They had to lock me in a room because they knew, like, I was trying to go after dude. He was lying, man. Right. Aaron's got enough problems. You don't need that bullshit charge that you guys are trying to stick on him because you want to get some clout. Right. Who are you?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
So what was he saying on the stand that you
he was, like I said, he was trying to say he put a hit out on him and his whole family. He was in fear for his life. He said he's seen cars circling around his house and stuff like that. And, he's petrified. And, he made a big deal about it. But it wasn't that serious. You called him a bitch because he gave somebody else's food. That was it.
Did you see his demeanor and shit, like when he was on the stand, the cop?
The cop, yeah. He acted like he wanted it. The cops didn't like them because he was high maintenance. And because that was his bid, that specific cop really had it out for him because he kept getting in trouble because of all the fuck shit he would do. Right. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't going to let that slide. You do something to us, you ain't going home. We're popping sprinklers. We're flooding out. We're fighting the moon team. Like, we're going to do something to make
it worse. Did you end up testifying? Or
Oh, yeah, no, I did. I told them. I said, yo, he didn't do none of that. And I also brought up the fact with the gun at his house, and that helped him down the road. So that
Did you get on the stand, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what that feeling was like.
It was crazy. It was scary. I didn't know if they were going to believe me or not because I've never done that. I've never been on that side of things. I'm always the one going to court,
Right.
And praying that whoever's testifying isn't going to screw me,
Right.
But, it was different. I didn't know really what to expect. A little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I'm not doing anything to hurt somebody. I'm doing something. I testified. You're going to think, he's a rat. No, I helped this man get out of some certain situations that he didn't need to deal with. Yeah. That was it. Now, this all happens and ends, right? I end up getting charged again for some drugs. I go back to jail. I smuggled a cell phone into HB. So basically, when you get locked up, that little chair you sit in, you roll your feet on, then you roll your mouth to see if there's any metal. What I did is I had my second cell phone in my sneaker, and I knew the CO. So I'm talking to her. And I swiped the same foot twice. She didn't pay attention. Right. So I got through. So now I get the cell phone. Now I'm in the holding tank in Dartmouth. Now I'm thinking they're going to strip search me. How do I get it now through that? It's bologna sandwiches and pasta. It was a Wednesday. I'm like, yes, nobody eats this pasta. I was like, yes. I said, everybody, give me a pasta. Give me a pasta. So I get all the pasta. I wrap up the phone and I stick it in the food tray. Right. Now I get through the strip search.
Right.
I'm good. I'm thinking I'm good. I'm like, yeah, I just got a phone in the unit. I'm going to get so much money for this. Like, yes. It's 1 o'clock in the morning now. They're like, all right, guys, we're going to go to HB. There's 2 people in front of me, 1 guy in back of me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking through, the rotunda to get to HB. And I forgot. In the rotunda is a metal detector that you have to walk through.
Yeah.
There's COs right there also. I'm like, dude, it's 1 in the morning. I'm like, who is there? Because if I know him, maybe I'll be all right. But who is there? Right. So now I'm nervous. I'm shaking. I'm like, do I go to the back line? Do I go to the front line? What do I do? What do I do?
Right.
Panicking. Dude, first thing that came to my mind was I let the 2 guys go in front of me. And when I went, I was praying it wasn't going to beep, but it sure enough did. I look at the CO. I say, hey, buddy, I got a screw in my leg. And I limped all the way to HB. And he didn't stop me.
Right.
So now I got the cell phone over there. I don't have a charger. I got a cell phone. People found out I had it. I'm strung out to the gills, soaking wet. Like, it was like my 3rd time in jail at that point. So, like, people were trying to get over on me, buy the phone for the low or whatever, hustle me for it, whatever. How they do. And I'm just coming in. Some people don't know me and they're trying to get over. So I had this dude come to my door. He's trying to fight me now because he got stupid and I said something back. I'm not going to let you punk me, bro. Like, no, I don't care if I'm 30 pounds or 200 pounds. It doesn't matter if I win, lose, or draw. I'm just fighting. You said those words, we're fighting.
Right.
So we end up fighting. We end up getting caught. We both go to the hole. They found the phone. So now I'm like stuck in the hole.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't put me back with Aaron. They put me now, instead of EE or ED, now they put me in EC, the very furthest window I could go to be away from him. So I couldn't yell to him out the window, they thought. Yeah. But I could.
Yeah.
We always
still can. It's all the same.
Right. So immediately, I'm out the window now. I get in the hole. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm talking to Aaron.
Right.
I go, yo, Aaron! He doesn't answer. I say, yo, Aaron! All of a sudden I hear, yo! I'm like, yo, bro, it's Stevie, bro. It's Slappy, right? That's how he knew me.
Yeah.
So I said, it's Slappy, bro. Bro, he instantly lit up. He's like, dude, what's up? How you doing? Da-da-da. And I'm trying to tell him what happened at court so he can prepare for it.
Right.
So I'm yelling out the window, telling him everything the cop was saying, this, that, the third. Next thing you know, I got a knock on my door, bro. It's the lieutenant. And the captain, at the time it was Captain Oliver. And the lieutenant, yeah. So he goes, Chavez, pack it up. We're moving you. I'm like, what do you mean you're moving me? I just got caught with a cell phone and I fought. You let me out the hole?
That's bullshit.
He says, nah, we're moving you out to jail. We don't want you 2 in the same jail anymore.
Damn.
I'm like, bro, like, you can't do that. Like, what the hell? Like, what did I do? Like, just because he talks to me? Like, what the fuck? Right. So they didn't want me to tell him what happened at court and, give him a hand up on stuff, They didn't want that. So I said, listen, the only way I'm moving, because I just came in, I have nothing. I didn't even get to see my boys, to get sneakers, right? Nothing. I have nothing. So I said, the only way I'm moving is if you go over to Aaron's cell and get the stuff he has for me. So they did. Dude, he gives me a pair of sweatpants. Obviously, he's like 6-something, so I can't fit in them. I'm 5'8". So I had to cut him in the shorts, but whatever. He sends me boxes. He sends me deodorant, radio, sneakers that were way too big. Brand new, though. He's like, sell them and trade them and get new ones for you. Shit like that. He's looking out.
Right.
So I get all the stuff. Man, they're cuffing me up in the back, and I'm carrying it, and they let me walk by him. I said, yo, hey, you couldn't sign the motherfucking boxes, man? You know what I'm saying? Because I was going to sell them to somebody online. To they buy that shit, Right. Somebody, Aaron Hernandez signed the boxes. Like, somebody would buy that shit,
Right.
So I got pissed at him for that, but it was funny. So I leave. I go to Ash Street. They made me go to Ash Street. Now, they would not keep us together. So now we're writing each other through my mom, right? I would write on the envelope so he knew it was me. I would just write Dover or Slappy, like on the outside. So when he reads the name, he sees that instantly, and he's not thinking it's just another fan mail.
Right.
He knows it's me.
Yeah.
So now I get a response, and I'm like, okay, cool. So now I get the, we started talking back and forth from Ash Street to Dartmouth, stuff like that, and telling him what happened in code and shit like that. But they ended up moving him to, he went to South Bay because at the time his cousin Tanya Singleton was sick. She had cancer, Yeah. And that was his pride and joy. He loved his cousin. So,
right. She's
I
been in the newspapers a million times throughout the story. Do you know Tanya, or did you ever?
I didn't know her, but I've heard him talking to her on the phone plenty of times, And, she loved him. She did love him. Yeah. She tried to look out for him like a little brother,
Yeah, that's family.
Right. And she did what she had to do. She held the car that, the incident happened with in her garage for all them years. Like, she did. She held it down, And he moved out to Boston, South Bay now, Nashua Street. He was in Nashua Street, and he was over there for a little bit before he went upstate.
Right.
So he's upstate, and I guess he started doing the K2 and stuff.
Yeah, he was smoking tons of shit,
bro. I'm hearing he wasn't even doing the little hits. He was smoking the whole page.
So when I was with him, he would take the deuce. He would roll the T in the middle of the deuce instead of like deuce in paper and rolling a joint.
Right.
The paper that he rolled with would be the deuce.
Right.
And I'm telling you, bro, like if it's like you can smoke a piece this big and be in another world or maybe dead.
Right.
Or and he's smoking pieces that are like gargantuan.
Exactly.
Buy a whole page.
Exactly.
Just stamps. Like he'll buy the whole page stamped out instead of buying a page.
As I did these off
for like
right.
I buy the whole page for like 2 stacks,
wow.
2.5 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smoke the whole thing.
Right.
But we would drink a lot. We would take a lot of pills.
Right.
But you know, I think everybody in prison kind of does that shit to get over.
Of course.
Want to hear the story about where I was when he ended up taking his life?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I was in STP. I got a DDU sentence.
Right.
I was up there for I think it was 2 years that DDU sentence. That's isolation, segregation, in Susan P. Correctional Center for people who don't know. That's in Shirley, Massachusetts, where Aaron was with me. That's where we did our time together. And he was in G2 over on the other side of the prison. This is M3 on the north side. That's the south side of the prison. I had heard that he was over there chilling with the dude Pure and shit like that. And, you know, I also heard, you know, stupid stories and shit. And I gotta ask you about these things and what your opinion is after, right? When I was up there one night, they locked the prison down. They said someone died. And I'm like, okay. The news comes on.
April 19th, bro.
Boom. And it's AA, all over the news. We got helicopters flying over the facility. You know, news parked out in the front because I can see the parking lot from my window, and you know, you got the lights, you know, ring lights and whatever, all that out there, and the news cameras, and they're all out there. And everybody on the tier was just like, "Yo, bro, did you just hear that shit? Bro, Aaron just died. Bro, he just took his own life and shit, right?"
Crazy.
And then you know all the conspiracies came out and shit. But really,
those didn't like him.
He really did. He took his own life. He took his own life. There's no way they could have did it. He pegged it from the inside.
He did it for the right reason.
He did. I mean, you know, the Bible says not to take your own life, no matter what. You know, but I can't help to say, you know, that what he did was a noble. It was in noble reason. You know what I mean? Behind it. So, but yeah, I mean, it was just an impactful day and a moment in time that I probably won't ever forget.
That's
like Twin Towers. You know what I mean?
That happened with you while at the same time I was in Bridgewater, just finding out I got a letter from him, trying to write him back, and then going to sleep and finding out he died. That was the same exact day. That was April 19th, man. And it still shakes me to this day. You know, he was a great father. He loved his kid. He really did. They have the same birthday. I don't know if anybody knows that, but Aaron and his daughter have the same birthday. You know, I used to hear him on the phone all the time. "Oh, my little girl, I miss you so much." Like, he was really a good dad. You know, and that's what makes it so sad because, you know, when you smoke K2, you get out there, you think outside the box a little bit, you know, but that amount of K2, you really start thinking,
it could make you. It could make you like it. So he had not only had the mental trauma from the, you know, CTE, whatever, but he's smoking massive amounts of a drug that has raid in it. You know, it has other drugs. Fucking have any idea that it does to you, but it does make you hallucinate. It makes you, you know, addicted, very addictive chemical, like crack almost. You want to keep smoking, and it's but unlike crack, it's more addictive in the sense that it's like. It's dangerous. It can make you hallucinate. You could be in a whole other world. Like you could, you know, I've seen people grabbing their cooks and saying, "My pussy hurts."
They say, "I'm calling an Uber," because the people get stuck.
Yeah, that's the Uber is the code 99. Yeah, people have the rail.
Right. They come.
I was gonna make a whole video about soon. So stay tuned for that.
That's what it is.
Stay tuned for that. The K2 stories are coming soon. It's wild.
Call the Ubers.
But yo, so yeah, getting the Uber. That's the code 99 guy tweaking out. But, yo, so check this out. So I've never seen him tweak out, but let me ask you about what's your opinion on Pure. Basically, the guy who got this book deal here. So Pure is Kyle Kennedy. He's the one who basically got signed for this
relationship and everything.
Right. Is Aaron Hernandez gay?
I can't say from my own opinion. When I was with him, though, I was with him for 3.5 months straight, and I was me and my cellie. That's all he talked to for those 3.5 months, you know. And I've never seen that side of him. Like I said, he was writing guys back because they were sending him money, but That's all
So
I need.
what do you mean guys? Like,
So like,
flipping
gay
gigs?
guys,
Yeah,
the money, and he's writing sex letters back for the money, for the canteen money, which, okay, I kind of get it, but I thought that was it, because he's got a wife, a kid, he's got letters of females writing him, like stacks of females letters, like he can have any girl he wants. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I just didn't click. Yeah. But then I start hearing, the Hulu series came out, and it was like every episode he's doing something with a guy.
That shit was forceful. That's true.
That's not true.
Yeah.
I think with Pure, he gets high with people. So they go in a cell, they put the curtain up, they get high, they do the sober, they do the thing. Dude, they're tweaked out. They're not having sex.
Right.
They're getting high.
People put curtains up in the max all the time, every single day. Yep. You put a curtain over your door, and you're smoking deuce or sniffing your piece, even if you're just chilling in your cell.
You can take a shit.
Taking a shit, smacking your meat.
Anything.
Whatever, bro. But you always have, people don't do gay shit in the max. It's not a thing up there.
Exactly.
Like, I have never seen it.
That's what I'm thinking. If it was true, maybe he was ashamed by it and I'm going to be here for the rest of my life with these guys and I'll never be able to live this down.
Right.
And that could have been the tipping point to make him. I get in my head a lot with that.
Yeah, maybe.
I try to believe it was for his daughter to get the money. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know.
Right.
I wasn't upstate. Boo Boo was upstate. I haven't talked to Boo Boo since then because he was also doing the K2 and he had that whole change. He's not Boo Boo anymore. Yeah. Now he's Bible dumping. He gave all his stuff away. He's totally different, Yeah.
So I heard he's better now.
Yeah.
But and his sister reached out to me. Shout out to Boo Boo, man.
Right.
You and God bless you, man. And he made it to
all the nobles.
He made it to a medium security facility, and his sister's been super supportive too of all of it too. So, and if we're making a connection with his daughter, that would be the most important thing. I think would be great for him and Boo Boo and his daughter to get back together. But if I can be any assistance and whatever, man, I just know that he loved his daughter. So same thing with every father. But we don't know what we're doing to our kids when we do this shit. Yeah, we don't.
It's the addiction. It's just it takes control, man. It takes control. It takes override.
So, is there anything that you would like to get into before we break off in this one? We could definitely do a part 2, talk about state time.
Absolutely.
We did 13 years, correct?
13 years altogether. I got 4 years sober right now. Thank God. I was just working at a detox, just helping save lives. I was really good. I was living out and got away from Fall River. I went out to Boston to get sober. It took me a little bit. I did my 2.5-year bid just now upstate in Shirley Medium. I went to Walpole and I went to Shirley Medium, wrapped up out of the CRA program, got out of there, and I hit the streets and I started working as a forklift driver at BJ's for a little bit. And my buddy said, I'm getting a job at a detox. Why don't you come? I said, man, they're not going to hire me. I'm a drug addict. I've been to 50 detoxes. He's like, no, that's why they want to hire you. So I get over there and I'm like looking around and all the people that work there, they're not addicts. They learn from books. If I'm in a detox, I'm not listening to you if you don't relate to me. Yeah. So because I got there, man, and I knew everything, I just left prison, just left jail, just left detox. I've lived their whole entire life. I know what they're dealing with. I could relate to everybody. It feels so good, bro. I worked there for 7 months before they closed down. I was an RS, recovery support specialist. Then I became the lead recovery support specialist. Then I became the intake coordinator. Then I got my feet wet with case management. And then they closed down for renovations right now, so I'm on unemployment. But dude, it was private insurance. I still got people from California, Oklahoma, Colorado calling me to this day, thanking me because they are still sober. And that keeps me going, that keeps me sober. You know what I'm saying? Giving back. And that's what it's all about. You come out of prison, you don't want that same cycle. You need to break it. And nothing changes if nothing changes. You got to change everything. And like Aaron used to say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And that's his saying. And you got to believe that. And, I do to the fullest.
I guess that's a great way to end this up, bro. I appreciate everybody for showing up today, man. You guys know how to support the channel. Cash App, whatever, PayPal, it's in the comments, or it'll be in my live streams on any of the bottom, the strip along the bottom of any live stream. You can see my Cash App or PayPal, or you can send a super chat, super thanks, whatever you want to do. Helps the channel grow, helps the channel go. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe if you want to become a member. Definitely do that. $2.99 to $14.99 a month, depending on what level you want to get at. You get exclusive content. Appreciate everybody again, man.
W number, baby.